All right, we are live. Welcome everyone to another edition of Deconversion Stories. And today I'm pretty excited because I get to talk with my friend Fiona Branker here, who not only has become, well, as you self-proclaimed, agnostic / atheist, because let's be honest, if you're agnostic, technically you're atheist, because agnostic deals with knowledge and atheism deals with more of a belief system thing.
Right.
We just don't believe because we're unconvinced by the evidence. But let's get into that. But first, I want to talk a little bit about what you do, because you are, as I put it in the chat, a fitness guru,
Wow.
basically,
thank you.
a personal trainer. And I mean, you already look like you could kick my ass 6 ways from Sunday right now. So yeah, see, and I used to look like that, but of course, you know, multiple beers later,
Yeah, I know you love your beers, Neil. I know you love.
Indeed, I do. Indeed, I do. But tell us a little bit, like how did you get into that and why you ended up becoming like a trainer and stuff like that? Because health is important, right? So
It is. And I always credit my mom, but my both parents, but more so my mom. She was a driving force with, I remember one of my fondest memories of my mom, I was maybe about 4, and she was there lying in her leotard, you know, Jane Fonda days, doing her little leg lifts. Yeah, with her little weights, and something about that just stuck with me. And she was a big Arnold Schwarzenegger fan, so she had a lot of Muscle and Fitness and those type of magazines lying around. And I love to read. I am such a nerd when it comes to reading. I'll read anything, everything. I still do.
Good. Yeah.
So she had a lot of magazines, and I would just read everything that I could. And then I started seeing female bodybuilders, and I was like, what? To me, they were gorgeous. I just loved, they were just so powerful, and they were breaking a lot of molds, because in the 80s, you know, it's not like now where, you know, female muscle is still a little taboo, but not as much as it was back then. So a lot of female bodybuilders were quiet, or as a term you just used, closeted, and it wasn't as mainstream as it is now. But I just loved it. And as soon as I could have started training in school, PE was my favorite subject. I loved it. It was just like my favorite thing. You know, it was so fun. I tried every single sport in school, and just even now, people that knew me from high school, and they're like, yeah, we're not surprised you got into, we're not even a little bit surprised. And I started doing my certifications. I decided to specialize in women's fitness, because there's a lot of myths surrounding women and how they should train and tone in and not wanting to get bulky and all this nonsense. So I started to get into women's fitness, which led to me finally pursuing women's bodybuilding. And I actually turned a pro last July. I turned and I leveled up from amateur to pro.
Bravo.
Thank you. Last year. And so that's what I do. I'm a personal trainer specializing in women's fitness. I'm a pro bodybuilder with the IFBB Elite Pro. And I also teach spin, which is like indoor cycling and that kind of thing.
Like calisthenics type thing.
Yeah, that's right. Once it's fitness related, health related, I'm your gal.
There you go, guys. If you need a trainer, Fiona's all over it. I actually do have some links where you can follow Fiona on Twitter if you're interested, and I highly recommend you do. And also, there's a couple of videos I posted. One is a feature about her talking about what she does in the avenue of fitness training, and she's a fitness trainer. And another one is one of her performances that somebody had filmed, I guess, from the audience, which is pretty cool too. I enjoyed that one. And also Instagram, where you can see lots of pictures of that kind of stuff for sure. Right? So, yeah, absolutely. So definitely go and follow her there and on Twitter, and definitely check out the videos I posted there. You'll enjoy them. And by the way, Fiona, I really think you should start a channel and put some of your fitness, like put some lessons up there, show some of the people that you're working with, and see how this thing builds and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a great idea, to be honest, and I would definitely help. I would definitely help promote that for sure.
Oh, that is awesome! Thank you very much, Neil. We will definitely work on that. Definitely.
That'd be fantastic. Now, you know what I actually do here, all the
I
fitness
know.
stuff aside. I kind of feel like I should be lifting weights while we're talking right now.
Yeah. Yeah, you just lift that bare can to your mouth.
I'll do the 32-ounce lift. How's that? Or is it 250 milliliter lift in Canada?
Yeah.
Something like that. Or no, actually, that's way more than 250 mils. I'm a freaking chemist. I should know more than that. But anyways, I talk about how people left their belief systems and why they did and what happened as a result of that kind of thing. So why don't you kind of take us back to the days when you were a believer and those first dominoes that started falling that kind of made you go, I don't know about this anymore, and led you out of it into becoming the amazing agnostic / atheist person that you are today.
Almost atheist person that I am. Almost.
Yeah.
And it's for me, well, I came out of very Christian background. My both parents were Christian, very fundamental Christian. And as far back as I could remember, we were in church. So there was always Sunday school. So we would get up, the girls, I have 3 sisters and 1 brother. So everybody would get dressed. Girls would go to Sunday school. Well, the children will go to Sunday school. Parents, and I mean fundamental. My mom had to cover her hair. All her skirts were below the knees. No pants. No, women were not allowed to speak in church. It was because obviously, you know, we were, you know, come on, women speaking in church, speaking in public. No,
not worth as much, right?
No, we know that, especially biblically, that's proven, right?
Oh yeah,
so,
right.
yeah, right. So that's
in my opinion, women are worth way more because let's be honest. I mean, I know we take part in it, but you guys are the givers of life, and that's why.
You know, but biblically, and that was very, very Bible based. So once we reached the age of accountability, which was according to teachings in church, which I only recently realized is not even a biblical teaching. I don't know why they call 12 the age of accountability, but it's a big thing in church. So when we reach
in the
12,
Jewish faith, it's 13, by the way. That's when we have our bar mitzvah.
Right. And I know you have a Jewish background as well.
Yeah.
So the age of accountability is 12 because apparently Jesus was in the temple preaching at the age of 12. So apparently by the age of 12, you should be able to understand that it's time to give your life to Jesus. So then you have to go to adult church. And we went to church Sunday morning, sometimes Sunday evening, midweek prayer service, and then Friday youth service. So it was a lot of church. We spent a lot of time in church. But the thing is, in Trinidad and Tobago, which is where I'm from, currently live, we are the land of carnival and party in the Caribbean. So it's so funny. We are deeply religious nation, as in everyone has freedom to practice their religion. We have the Christians, we have Muslim, we have Hindu, and we have various sects of every single one. We have a lot of representation, but we're also a very party island. So we have carnival, what we call fetting, which is a lot of parties. And so it's kind of, you know, I don't know. but the thing is, when I reached teenage years and I wanted to party, that was like a no-no because church.
Right.
You know, they just didn't go hand in hand. But the thing is, growing up as fundamental as I did, it meant a few things. One, you never question authority. Never. If a person in authority says it, that's what it is, especially if it's a pastor, a preacher, or, you know what I mean? So 1, total respect for authority. 2, homophobic. So, I mean, homosexuality, definitely an abomination and a sin, so definitely grew up homophobic. No two ways. And 3, certain things like tattoos and those kind. I even remember when I first started wanting to get into bodybuilding.
Tattoos.
Yeah. Oh, look at you, heathen.
I know. Another one over here too, somewhere way up here.
Now I have 3. One in this wrist, one here, and my husband and I are going to get one.
I'd love more, but I can't because I'm a dedicated blood donor now, and I'd have to wait at least 6 months, right? So it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Posted that you donated blood recently. Yeah. So all these things, you know, definitely was not allowed. When I started bodybuilding, I remember someone telling me from the church that, you know, your body is the temple and you shouldn't display it like that in those skimpy outfits, and, you know, God wouldn't like. And I was like, what are you even, what? What are you even telling me? So at first I was a little skeptical, but I mean, my husband, he was like, Fee, this is what you love, do it. You know, just do it.
That's the
So
kind of husband you like.
yeah,
It's going to be supportive
he's
of
my
you.
biggest cheerleader. Actually, he's looking at the live stream right now, but on his phone
Oh,
inside. So
oh.
I know. So
We'll say hello in the chat so I can see you there.
yeah,
And
say
everyone
hello in
digs
the
your
chat so we can see you there.
and everyone digs your accent, by the way, Fiona.
Oh, thank you. Oh,
I have a
so
quick question though.
yes.
Before we carry on, eventually I want to get out to the Caribbean, and I'm too cheap to pay for hotels. Do you guys think you could put me up if I'm out that way?
Oh, don't worry, I'll find a space for you, Neil.
Okay, beautiful. Awesome.
But
I'm
Trinidad and
going to the
Tobago,
Caribbean.
yeah, that just to plug the red, white, and black. That's our national colors. Trinidad and Tobago is done amazing. And when COVID is done and there's no more pandemic, and you could come for Trinidad Carnival, you'll be hooked. You will be
Oh,
hooked. Trust
perfect.
me.
Excellent.
So we'll plan it. Don't worry.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, it was even with partying, because it's only so much you can tell a teenager no to partying. We will find a way to party. And I had an aunt that loved partying. So whenever she came to Trinidad, I would take that as my opportunity to go with her. And then there was the guilt that went along with it. There's so much guilt in the Christian faith. Everything is guilt, Neil. Everything is guilt. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But
Yep.
I probably
I had a Jewish mother. I know all about guilt trips.
Guilt. I probably rededicated my life to the Lord like 15 times during my time, because I always felt like, okay, if I had a thought, you know, thought crimes, if I had a thought, oh, you had to repent. And if you said a cuss word, you had to repent. And everything was just, you know, so there was a real struggle with just being a normal teenager and then wanting to live this Jesus standard that is ridiculous. No one can live up to that standard because we are not God in flesh, according to the legend. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
I agree.
So, yeah. But the funny thing is, when I was about 20 years old, I decided full dedication, get baptized, give up the heathen life, everything, no more partying, no more nothing. And it was Benny Hinn. I remember it clearly. Benny Hinn came to Trinidad and had a crusade, and I was enraptured by the whole thing, and I decided to give my life to the Lord. I went to Bible school. I did the whole thing. I really, really wanted. My husband and I, at that time, we got married. We got married young. We were youth leaders in church. I used to sing in the choir. I spent hours. I wanted the full experience, the Holy Ghost, as we used to call it, experience. You know what I mean? And I used to see people talking in tongues, dancing in the spirit, slaying in the spirit. I heard you had Olivero, I can't remember his first name, and he spoke about David, who was amazing, by the way. He spoke about
awesome.
getting slaying in the spirit, and I was like, oh my God, I haven't heard that term in ages. And I was like, he knows what I'm talking about. But for me, I never had those experiences. And I was sure it was because obviously I was doing something wrong there. So I spent hours trying to, the pastor said we should be praying for 2 hours. And I was like, oh my God, what? And after 15 minutes, I'm falling asleep. And I'm like, oh no. Obviously I'm doing something wrong. And again, it was just the whole guilt, and there's always a feeling in the Christian church that you're not good enough. They talk love and they talk about forgiveness, but there's always that small feeling that you're not good enough because everybody else is speaking in tongues. Why aren't you speaking in tongues? Obviously there's sin in your life. You know what I mean?
Yep. Oh yeah.
But everything started to change after I had my son, because I couldn't go to church as much. I moved from where I was living to a different part of the country with my husband. So I left that church and I just couldn't find a church that I liked, although I tried. And so a little bit, so we were out of church for a while. And then maybe about 8 years ago, I decided, all right, I'm not going to go back to church. I can't deal with it. I teach spin on a Sunday. I'm not going to give up my income for church. But because, I mean, all these promises about prosperity and stuff wasn't happening. I needed to work. It just,
exactly.
I heard him say that as well. All these prosperity promises, it just wasn't happening. I need to work.
What does God need with your money anyways?
I know.
He's God. I need an ice cream. There's an ice cream.
Yeah. Why do you need a whole 10%?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why? So Sundays just weren't working out for me. And I was just like, what? So we stopped. We literally stopped church for a while. And we have family members telling us, you know, Jesus wants us back. And, you know, we have a mission for our lives. And they really try to guilt you back into the church, right?
Sure,
but
yeah.
At some point, we were just like, nah, we're good. We're fine. And about 8 years ago, Neil, I decided I didn't want anything to do with church, but I wanted to find Jesus because I believe that church is church. That's just a building. You can find Jesus anywhere.
Sure.
That was my thought. So I was like, I just want to get to know Jesus. And, you know, sometimes you hear Christians saying that, you know, if you fall away or if you backslide or whatever, it's because you weren't truly committed. If you become it, because I was told there's never deconversion, right? If you're an atheist, God gave you over to a reprobate mind, and you know, you were never really, you didn't really love God to begin with. You weren't really dedicated, but that's not the truth. Sorry, the noise you're hearing is my dog having fun with. She's playing with her cup. She has a cup and she's playing with her cup. Oh. So that's what you're hearing.
That's okay. It's forgivable.
Right. Yeah. Dogs are always forgivable for me too.
Exactly.
So then because Christian background, I started listening to Joel Osteen because he wasn't so much brimstone and fire. He was more, Jesus loves you and, you know, it'll be okay. He loves you, you know? So I started listening to Joel Osteen. And then I switched from Joel Osteen. I was like, this Christian thing really isn't working out for me. Maybe I should go down this spirituality route, which is what I started doing, the New Age, because they still spoke about Jesus, but not so much dogma. And, you know, and I grew up with herbs. And you look a little hippie-ish. I grew up very hippie-ish. You know, my mom, you look like you could be a hippie. I call myself a hippie all the time. You know, because I do my herbs and those I like incense. So then I went down the spirituality road, which was fun. It was fun. I still have my crystals. I still meditate sometimes, but then I was like, oh, I really don't think any of these things make sense. So one day, you know, YouTube gives you recommendations, right? So one day, Dan Barker, I hope I say his name right. He came up on my as a recommended, and I saw pastor, former pastor, now atheist, and I'm like, what? No, a pastor can never become an atheist because atheists were people that weren't committed to the Lord in the first place, and you know they were the seeds that fell among the rocks. So what nonsense is this? And I clicked on the video and I listened to his entire story, and about 5 years ago, and I told my husband, I came home, I'm like, there's a pastor that is an atheist now. And there are a whole lot of them. So then I started YouTubing and I came across so many atheists that were once Christian. Matt Dillahun. I'm like, what? The church lied to me? I was in shock. I could not believe that so many people, and not just Christianity, but there was Islam, and so many people have left religion, and almost all for the same reason, because eventually you realize that it's all a lie. I remember clearly when I realized, wait a minute, the Bible is not true. Because I believe the 6-day creation, Neil. I'm ashamed to say it now, but I believe in the 6-day creation story. I did. I believe that woman came from the rib of a man. I believed that Satan entered the serpent, and the serpent, tempted Eve, and then she gave in, weak woman that we were, and then she tempted Adam, and that we were the whole reason for the fall of creation, because evolution wasn't true. Pastor told me that evolution wasn't true. Atheism, none of it was true. So when I started doing my research, and then I really started reading the Bible, I was like, wait, what am I even reading? This is total nonsense. First of all, there is nowhere in the Bible that said that the devil had anything to do with the temptation. That was the first thing for me, because it's Genesis.
Yeah, that's right. Like, it came in the Old Testament first.
Yeah, in the Old.
And they didn't have a devil.
Yeah, there was no devil. And I couldn't believe it. And I've been asking questions, and Christians always come up with the same answers. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart, lean not unto your own understanding, in all of your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your steps. It's just the devil playing tricks with you. And I'm like, what devil? What are you talking about? And then if there was no devil to tempt Eve, vis-a-vis, there was no temptation, vis-a-vis, there was no reason for Jesus.
No sin.
Because there was no sin, vis-a-vis, all of this is crap.
Exactly. Yeah,
and I took a long time to get there, but when I got there, it was just like, you call it dominoes, like one after the next. I took a long time because I wasn't looking into it. I wasn't looking into it. I wasn't willing to ask those questions. And I had nobody to talk to about it other than my husband. I had nobody else that I could talk to and bounce these ideas off of, because everybody around me is Christian in some form, be it Catholic or fundamental, evangelical, something, Jehovah's Witness. You know what I mean? So there was no one for me to bounce these ideas off of. But Atheist YouTube saved my life. And then I realized that there was so much information. And now I'm like a sponge. I told you I love to read. I just finished reading a book called Biblical Nonsense, because it's just, I just can't get enough of the information that's out there. So I love listening to Matt, Atheist Debates with Matt Dillahunty. I love listening to Eric. You had Dr. Josh Bowen on, one of my favorites.
He's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he has
smart guy.
He is smart as heck. And his wife, they are amazing.
Oh, yeah. Megan's, she's great too.
Yeah, and then I started going crazy for Deconversion Stories, which is how I came across your channel, because it's like a whole channel dedicated to Deconversion Stories. Okay, and I have looked at every single one that you have posted. My favorite was Olivero. He was one of my favorites. Josh, of course. And you had a girl, Tricia, I think was her name. She was from South Africa.
Yep.
I love those. Yeah, those were my 3 favorite stories. So even now in Trinidad and Tobago, there's a lot of religion. I keep asking people who post, I see people posting. So I ask them, are you atheists? Because, you're looking for your own community within. Sure. And everybody's like, no, they don't believe in the church, but they still believe in God. Or
higher power or something like that.
Yeah, someone told me that they believe that he went kind of woo-wee with we are God kind of thing. I'm like, okay, easy with that.
Whoa, Bell.
Yeah, okay. And then, so there's still that God belief. And then there's a lot of Hindus here. So, they have that kind of polytheistic, but still a God belief. So I have yet actually to find someone or find a group within Trinidad and Tobago that's atheist. You know what I mean? Because as you said, I think a lot of people are still closeted. I don't think it's easy to come out in a atmosphere like what we have here. Not that I fear for my life or anything like some other countries. It's nothing like that. It's just that it's not a popular opinion. Everybody, I mean, there's prayer when you go to school, there's prayer before lunch, there's grace after meals, there's a lot of, it's just a lot of prayer. And then there's a lot of Catholicism is big here. Christianity is big here. There's a lot of Jehovah's Witness, 7 Days Adventists. There's a lot, you know, but you
Well,
really
Mormons.
don't care about atheism or agnosticism in Trinidad and Tobago. At least I haven't heard about it just yet.
Right. So you haven't found an organization that you can reach out to there, eh?
No, because I would love to be more activist when it comes to, you know, I really, I have not raised my son religious at all.
Good for you.
He is a very free thinker, because I think the worst thing that you can do, and I understand now that religion does it from young, because it's much easier to indoctrinate, to get believers when you start from young. And it's not just Christianity, all religions do it.
They all do. Yep.
So my son is a very free thinker. He's allowed to question everything, anything, even us. He's allowed, with respect, of course, but he's allowed to question anything and everything. He is a free thinker, and he has always been, you know, and I really don't think that you should raise children with a religious belief. I think you should allow them to think, use their brain, look at, you know, science. And I am just amazed that people don't believe in evolution in 2020. There's still people that believe. I mean, I probably would have been one of them if, you know, but luckily I'm not. But it's just amazing to me. Oh my God, I've been talking for so long, Neil. Do you want to ask me any questions?
This is what it's all about. It's people getting to tell their stories. I'm just here as a host for you to do that. And if I have something silly or a question, I will definitely pop up for sure.
Okay.
So it's all about your story.
So I actually remember when my brother, maybe like about 9 years ago, my brother is younger than me. He's the youngest out of all of us, 5 of us. And he told me he was an atheist. And back then I was like, oh my God, I was so heartbroken. I'm like, how could you be I didn't tell him that, because I don't like to judge anybody. I try my best to be as non-judgmental as possible. Although when I was a Christian, it was easy to judge. Because, I mean, I was a Christian. Obviously, I was better than everybody else because I was following the one true God. Duh.
Of course.
So when he told me he was an atheist, in my heart, I was like, oh my God, he's been led astray. And then just recently, I was talking to him and he's like, you're sounding real atheist, Davey. I'm like, yep, I think I've joined you, brother. I think I've joined you. You know?
What did he say?
And he was like, yeah, well, it's about time. You know, so now we can talk freely. I mean, but he was very open about it. You know, my dad, who is still very, very Christian, the other day he came up and my mom passed about 6 weeks ago. So I got this tattoo. Yeah, it was rough. Thank you.
My condolences to you and your family.
Thank you. So I got this tattoo to represent her. It's her name, her letter, which is K. And my dad saw it and he's like, oh, what's that? Another tattoo? I was like, yep, for my mom. And I could just tell he was so disapproving, but he knows better than to say anything. So, because I've always been headstrong. I've always respected authority, but I've also been very strong in my opinions and my beliefs, you know?
Yep.
So that's why I said my deconversion took a long time, because I'm the type of person, I generally don't do things spontaneously. So I always do a lot of research into everything that I do before I make a decision. I'm not a spontaneous person. It's just not who I am. Except sending you an email. That was probably like the most spontaneous thing I've ever done. I'm like, hey, he says anybody could tell their story. Let me see if he wants to hear my story.
Absolutely, I do.
And you did. And it's important. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, they're all important, right? You never know who's going to be watching and go, oh, that sounds a lot like the journey I've gone on.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And I think within the Caribbean, as you said, I think there are a lot of closeted atheists and agnostics, or at least non-believers. But because we are raised in an environment of religion, it's just easier. And I mean, it's never, if you're not a person that enjoys confrontation or isolation, sometimes it's better to just go with the flow, you know? But like when my sister-in-law asked me if I think I will ever go back to church, and I said no, and she's like, that was like the saddest thing she's ever heard. I'm like, why? It's fine. and now there's a pandemic and all churches are closed, so yeah, you know, it's fine. Either way, it's fine. But I think I I definitely don't believe in the God of the Bible. The more I read it, and I'm following a series with Hemet Meta right now, Everything Wrong with Genesis, which is like the greatest thing right now for me. I get so excited when I see it. And just listening, just reading through these stories, and I'm like, how did I believe this for so long? I told my husband, I'm like, how did I believe this? I consider myself a rational person, but indoctrination is a heck of a thing. It really, really is.
You were convinced at the time. That's how it goes, right? And you became unconvinced.
And when I found out, for instance, now that I realize that Christianity has so much thanks to give to Paul, because I recently realized that, wait a minute, if Paul wrote his letters before the Gospels, Paul never met Jesus, if anybody did. I mean, so not even the order of the New Testament is correct, because it should read all of Paul's letters first, and then the Gospels, and then all the other random letters. I'm like, if you can't even get the order of the New Testament, which is what all Christians love to go to, you know, well, the Old Testament was done, you know, but the New Testament, that is where you get the truth. But that's not even in the correct chronological order. Then what are you telling me? There is no truth in the Bible.
Maybe it's like Star Wars. The middle verse, then the prequels, and then the
right. You know, so. But boy, so it is important because, like I said, in the Caribbean, we are deeply religious. Because if you look at countries like Haiti and all these countries, they're deeply religious countries. You know what I mean? And it's important that maybe there's somebody that will see this within the Caribbean and know that it's okay. It's going to be okay. Now, for me, as I said, my husband, he was never really big on religion to begin with. He was a Christian. We actually did meet in church. The best thing to come out of being in church was meeting my husband. Best thing. But he was never really a big church guy the way I was really into church. But there may be just one person that's thinking about asking some questions like, this isn't making sense to me anymore, and is afraid to say it. Just say it. Just it's nonsense. It's all nonsense. All of it. It's nonsense.
Native Atheist wants to know, showed up late, so Native Atheist wants to know if your husband is also atheist.
I don't know what he is. he hasn't picked. He's definitely non-religious.
Okay.
And he's not in any way interested in the Bible. Like, I'm still interested in doing research and reading. Strictly from a research point of view now, not from a, oh my God, this is inspiration point of view. But he just doesn't care. He doesn't care.
Atheist. That's the word for that. I don't care.
What's that? Atheist. Yeah, I like it. That's what he is. He literally he doesn't care. He doesn't.
Good.
You know?
Doesn't need to.
He doesn't. Correct. Because at the end of the day, it literally doesn't matter. What my sister asked me the other day, how come my mental is so different? And I told her, I'm like, I've come to realize that this is the only life that we have. There is no afterlife. Christianity sells you this fable of an afterlife so that, you know, even if you don't get it, you know what I mean? All you have to do is get in and it'll be fine. Get into the afterlife. But if there is no afterlife, this is all we have. How much ever years I have on this earth is it. So I just want to make the most of this life because this is what I'm sure about. I don't know if there's an afterlife. I don't think there is. There's no evidence to support an afterlife.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So if this is what we have, why waste it feeling guilty, feeling repentant, feeling, you know what I mean? Spending hours in a building when you could just be doing more fun things and exploring life and meeting cool people like Neil and other atheists on YouTube.
I'm not that cool. I'm just your average guy, man.
Oh, well, you seem pretty cool, Neil.
Well, thank you. So do you.
Well, thank you. I think I am cool.
You are, Fiona. And I'm not going to tell you otherwise because you kicked my ass. So there you go.
There you go. That's the right answer. Yeah, so that's basically it. But I mean, I'm giving it in a nutshell again because, you know, I don't want to drone on and on. But it's just at different pockets at different times. But more recently, it has been, the dominoes have been falling one after the next one. All the little things that I believed growing up, I've come to realize that most of it, first of all, wasn't even grounded in the Bible. Like I said, like the age of accountability and all this stuff, the dogma that they sell you is just church stuff. It's literally just doctrines the church came up with. The Trinity. Where did they get the Trinity from, Neil?
I have no idea.
No Trinity. Like, there's one interpolated verse, but most scholars agree that that wasn't even originally there. It's an interpolation. So even that, which is the foundation of Christianity, well you know, nowadays Christianity. Yeah, it's not there. So why would you even believe it? You know what I mean?
It sounds like the whole God, Holy Ghost, Jesus thing. It sounds like someone's got a multiple personality disorder. That's what it is.
Yeah, you know, so like Old Testament God was like this angry, genocidal.
He was a war god,
accepting, baby killing guy. He was mean. But then his alter ego Jesus is meek and mild and suffering all little children to come unto him. And then there's the Holy Ghost, who not quite sure what role he plays in the whole thing nowadays, but
floats around.
Yeah, he's like the comforter that will. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
If we have all these, why do we need preachers still? Then, you know, they're like, you know, creationists say, why do we still have monkeys if humans evolved from monkeys, right? Why do we still need preachers and pastors if we have Jesus, who is like God, but he was a man?
I have an answer for that question. Why are there still monkeys if we came from monkeys? Well, I don't know. Why is there still dirt if we came from dirt?
Well, exactly. I mean,
why do we still have ribs if you came from ribs?
If we came from ribs, you know, my husband, we had a whole, just a funny little, you know, back and forth going. And he's like, well, I'm sure I have one extra rib than you do. And I'm like, no, we all have the same amount of ribs. And he's like, I'm pretty sure you're wrong. So I Googled it and I showed him and he's like, no, I'm pretty sure you're still wrong. I have more ribs than you do.
we got an answer from my friend Ease, who says Trinity comes from Hermes, Trismegistus, 3 times great old Greek god, Thoth in Egypt. And the funny thing is, Ease, is when the internet first became more of what it is we know now, my first incarnation for email and persona on like chat sites and stuff was Thoth.
Really?
Because I was really into the Egyptian gods at the time, and he was my favorite because he was the record keeper. He was the what do you call it? The author of the gods. So I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, but yeah, I guess that's part of where it comes from. He's a pretty smart guy for a pot smoker. I'm kidding. He's a
pot smoker. and that's the thing. There's so much Greek. I mean, if I know most Christians probably never would, because most of them don't want to tug at that thread because it's fearful. It's fearful letting go of something that has become your identity for so long. You know, being a Christian, it becomes an identity. It's also a community, because, you know, they have conventions and everybody's there, and, you know, everybody's your brother and your sister and everybody loves you until you say something that they don't agree with, and then there's a lot of judgment. So, but I mean, if you stop and think and you just read a little bit of history and you realize how much Greek, and then you realize that, okay, Paul, you know what I mean? Just put 2 and 2 together, Christians, just put 2 and 2 together and realize that it's all trash. So I would love to be able to tell more Christians but the thing is, they don't hear, they just don't want to hear right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's partially stubbornness mixed with fear.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're afraid if I hear these alleged truths that unbelievers are telling me, then I'm going to become one of them, and that scares the hell out of them, because it's like something is going to be pulled out from underneath them, like security, community, faith, all that stuff will suddenly just go away, and that can be pretty scary for somebody that's been in it their entire lives. I've spoken to many folks that has happened to,
right?
And ultimately they say, you know what, I'm better off for it now, but it was scary as fuck at that time, right? Like, you know, and actually one of the people in the chat wanted to know, has your family or other family given you any backlash for your abolishing those beliefs?
Honestly, I have, apart from now, and if any one of them sees this show, I guess they're gonna know for sure now. I have not, while I have not hidden it, I have not walked around with a T-shirt that says "I no longer believe." You know, yeah, like that. Maybe I should get an atheist. I think I should just get the T-shirts. So for instance, when, as I said, my mom recently passed, so she didn't know.
You need this one.
Let me see. Oh, I love it. I think I need to get one or two of those. But I mean, from what I post on like my statuses and, you know, things that I post, it would be obvious that I no longer believe. But I have yet to come out and no one has asked, and I haven't gone and said, hey, yo, I don't believe this crap anymore, you know. So I haven't gotten any backlash yet. The only person I've actually said it to was my brother. And I have an older sister.
He's the atheist.
He's already an atheist, so it's fine. There's no backlash from him. He's like,
probably going, bravo.
He's like, welcome. We've been expecting you. Because we know you would have eventually gotten here. But for instance, my sisters-in-law haven't told them. And my brother-in-law haven't told my dad. My other siblings, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like, for instance, when it was time to do the service for my mom, and I told my sister, I was like, I would prefer for it to be non-religious. And she's like, yeah, but mom was really religious, so let's do it that way. I was like, okay, but I'm not going to say or do anything that's religious because, you know. So I guess it's out there. I'm not hiding it, but I haven't said it, so there hasn't been any backlash. It wouldn't matter anyway. It's whatever. It's my life.
If and when it happens, exactly. And if and when it happens, you deal with it at the time.
Yeah, that's right. And if it does, I would explain to them clearly why I no longer believe. And I really wish that they would, that I can explain why. And maybe they would also see some truth and start to think, you know, this is shit. This shit does not make sense.
Right.
You know?
You never know.
Oh, my husband said he wants one of those T-shirts too. My opposite husband says he wants one of these T-shirts.
Well, I'll have to get him one that says, thank God I'm an atheist.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Lee said thank you for your honesty, by the way.
Oh, I try. And for all those Christians out there that thinks that comes from God, no, it doesn't. I just choose to be honest and really try to live with integrity, with or without a God. I didn't need a God to tell me that. Exactly. You know? Exactly. Yeah, because you always, you know, what is morality, blah, blah, blah. You know, there's always these morality excuses.
Yeah, where do you get that from?
Where do you get morality? You get morality from choice. You know, you choose to be a moral person. You choose to do the right thing. You choose to see somebody struggling to cross the road and help them cross the road. That has nothing to do with a God. That's just the nature. That's the choice that you make as a human being, caring about other human beings. You don't need a God for that. You just need to be a semi-decent human being. Don't be a dick.
Yeah, it really comes down to that. Just don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. How far is it really? You don't need a God. That would be like the whole Bible. That would be
God
my
is
whole
a
Bible.
dick. If you read the book, he's a dick.
It's so funny. So many Christians are dicks, though, but they don't see it.
Yeah.
Because they
Darth Dawkins.
Yeah, they don't see it. So
you know, I'm good friends with many Christians that promote my show, even.
Right.
You know, because you know they know that people are going to have beliefs, whatever they are.
Right.
And they're not trying to kibosh what I'm trying to put out there. They say, hey, you know what? I'm a believer, but you are obviously showcasing people that have fallen away or walked away from it. In my opinion, basically you throw it away. It's fuck this shit, right? But
yeah,
and they support my efforts, which I find bizarre, but okay at the same time.
Yeah, that is unusual. You know some cool believers then.
Yeah,
because
I mean, well, they're out there. They don't want the animosity. They don't want the heartache that goes with the clashes that happen between believers and non-believers.
Yeah.
And my very good friend Faye, who's also known as Wonder Lady on YouTube, told me to tell you that you're lovely.
Oh, Faye. Oh, guys, y'all are being so kind. Stop it.
She said, yeah, she's really lovely. She
Thank
digs
you. Thank you so much.
I'm going to make a quick address to something on that happened in the chat. They were talking about glass half full, glass half empty,
right?
And then I think it was Theo that said to the chemist, it's full, it's half water, half air, which technically is correct. But I always said it this way because my mom is bipolar and manic depressive, so she sees a psychologist. And many years ago, all the family members went in to speak to the psychologist to hear what her diagnosis, I guess, and how to approach and deal with mom. And I got that question. She goes, I'm going to ask you a question. You've probably heard it before. It's the whole glass half full, half empty question. I guess you wanted to know how I thought. Like, was I optimistic, pessimistic, whatever the case? Right. She goes, so if it's a glass for you, is it half full or half empty? And I said, well, that depends. She says, well, what do you mean? I said, well, are you pouring the water in or pouring the water out? And she goes, oh, interesting. I go, because if you're pouring the water in, then it's half full. If you're pouring the water out, then it's half empty.
Right.
She goes, that was good.
That's a good point. That's a good one, Neil. That's good. But let me ask you something. As you said, you have some believer friends that actually listen. Have any of them started questioning based on deconversion stories, or are they all still very committed to? Does it make them dig in even more to find like they're wrong and I'm going to prove it? All these stories.
Most of them still believe, but they one at least that I know of. I'm not going to mention names here because I don't want anyone to get into trouble. One of them has mentioned that watching a bunch of my stories, or not my stories, but people's stories on my channel, has caused them to sort of rethink things, and they're going through a little bit of a personal crisis, I guess we'll say. And I said, if you ever need to talk to someone, I'm always there for you. Right. Like I was supposed to have this person on my show because they were having thoughts and they canceled on me because they were afraid that if they came on, they would get discovered, and they didn't want to have to deal with that yet. Right. And I told them, I said, well, when you're ready, let me know. And I'll have you on for sure. But only when you're ready. I do not want you to I don't want you, because it happens. We spoke about this before we went live, that it happens that people get disowned by family, stuff like that. Right. So, and I don't want that to happen. I want people to be okay and safe, even if they're believers. I want the best for people, no matter what it is they believe or right. So. And that's the thing. I tell my husband all the time, I'm like, I really wish I can sit a Jehovah's Witness, Catholic, fundamental Christian, Muslim, and just like sit everyone down and just have a discussion and point out, and just let everybody talk, because they have within Christianity alone, there are so many denominations that disagree. You know what I mean? Because I have, a Jehovah's Witness friend, so I speak to her about things, and I always figure if you're all Christians, you all claim Christianity as your umbrella, how is there so many differences between your, and what I consider simple things? December 25th, Christmas, no Christmas. Who cares? Just celebrate. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's all about getting together with family anyway. Yeah, so. It doesn't even matter. So I would really love that opportunity for everybody to have like an open forum discussion, you know what I mean? But I choose not to believe, and I would love to be able to tell religious people why, and then let them, do some thinking. But I don't know. Maybe it'll happen after this show. Who knows? You never know. Welcome, Vesta. Yes, you're quite late. We're coming up to the last 10 minutes of the show. So, but there will be an after party. There will be an after. So we'll have a lot of fun with that, and I'm pretty sure you're going to get some questions about fitness too in the after party. I'm pretty
sure. Fitness is my favorite thing. Apart from it has always two of my favorite things to speak about. I mean, in different ways, has always been fitness, and depending on where I was in my religious journey, religion/spirituality. So now my favorite thing to speak about is fitness and deconstructing this whole mind fuck that is. And I'm so glad I can say that because I just realized it slipped out. But I can say that in your show.
I have no qualms with that.
It's whole mind fuck that is Christianity. You know what I mean? It's not my favorite thing because I am still discovering so much folly in the Bible. It's ridiculous. I am still discovering. And you know, I don't just listen to like general YouTubers. I like to listen to scholars as well. So Carrier, and I've never actually listened to Hitchens, but like Carrier, I like Bart Ehrman, and you know, these guys, I like to listen to scholarly stuff as well and read scholarly stuff as well, so that you're getting it, so that no matter who you talk to, you always have a good response and you're not coming up with nonsense. Because I think the worst thing that could happen to anybody that's atheist or agnostic or atheist, my new favorite word, is to not have a reasonable answer and to go to straw men. I hate straw man arguments. I really I hate here. Like if I'm listening to one of those calling, like, you know, the Atheist Experience and stuff, and you hear people calling in with these straw man arguments, I despise that. So I like to learn so that when I respond sensibly and make people think.
Yeah, and that's what you should do. Cause people to think. Discussions of any kind should cause people to think about stuff. That makes for great conversation, in my opinion.
Agree.
Right?
I agree.
I don't know what that means, Paul. TNT religious discussions? Because TNT is actually the short version of the name of the call-in show that Randolph and I are starting up in the fall.
You're starting up a call-in show?
It's going to be called True North Talk, and it'll be we'll be doing it at Randolph's place. We just cleaned out a whole section off the side of his house, ripped it apart, and we got builders that'll be going in there to put up all the new drywall, soundproofing drywall, and stuff like that.
Right.
And we got a little studio that we're going to have in there, and of course my amazing what's the word, producer. I can't believe I forgot that. My awesome producer Mikey Famine, who's also known as We the Deviants, Deviants, I think that's what it is. I always want to say Deviants, but he's not a deviant. Anyway, so we're starting up a talk show, and he'll be our producer for that. And there has once again been a little bit of a rumbling that the ACA, which is the Atheist Community of Austin, might pick up my show as part of their roster, which would be huge.
That would be amazing.
Right. And that's what David said. He's going to put in a good word for me. And there's a couple others that are going to sort of re-attack Mark with that one as well. Mark is the producer of the ACA shows. So that's
going to be amazing. That's good. And I really, really hope you get through. And you're talking
too.
about building your studio. And my husband and I and my son were actually thinking of converting my space, because now that gyms are closed, thank you, COVID, I have to do everything online, right? So all of my classes and everything I'm doing now is online. Because like I said, I teach spin and I do personal training.
There you go. There's your YouTube channel.
That's my YouTube channel. So we're going to actually convert part of the living room and make that my little studio with everything. So we're both studio building, Neil. We're both studio building.
Oh, yes. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think the call-in show should be a big hit. I mean, I know a lot of people already know about it, so I'm pretty sure we'll get views right off the hop.
Yeah,
we'll make a Patreon for it as well in time.
Right.
And you should too if you start up a channel, because any little bit of help that comes in to keep things rolling, because everything I make goes right back into the show. So. And it's always, and I appreciate my patrons, even though I never remember to say that at the end of my shows, and I really should, because they're amazing people. The fact
I really
would love
want to help channel to grow as well, because I know I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I really love. I mean, your channel. When I Googled, when I did the search on YouTube, Deconversion stories, your channel came. One of your chance. I think the first one I saw was actually Eric Murphy. I think he was
Eric
one
Murphy.
of the first ones that I saw, and I went.
The most
and
watched one.
Yeah. He's so real in that, you know what I mean? You were crying, he was crying, everyone was crying. We were all, you know what you were going through, Eric.
Yeah.
You know, it was so relatable. It's really, really a nice, you know?
Yeah. Vesta Freya, who showed up quite late, actually, is trying to figure out your accent.
Oh. Does he want to guess? Did he want to guess?
Sounds like she might be from South Africa. Well, you're kind of off. Trinidad, Tobago, Caribbean. That's
right. I am
I
from Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean.
There you go.
I remember when I went to New York a few years ago, someone told me that it sounds Jamaican but kind of British, so it's like a British Jamaican accent, and I'm like, what does that even mean?
Right,
British Jamaican. So now I got South African. That's interesting because you know, I just sound like me.
Well, Tersa was from South Africa. One of the guests that you enjoyed.
I actually loved her entire story. I loved her.
Well, the whole family was involved, which I think is phenomenal.
That almost never happens.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that was a really, really good deconversion story. That almost never happens.
Exactly. And once again, Faye says your accent is lovely. You're just
Faye
all around lovely, Fiona.
I just think Faye is amazing. I think Faye is. I love Faye. Whoever Faye is, I love her. She's so good for my ego.
Well, I've actually, Faye's one of the first few handfuls of the atheists that I ran into doing this stuff through another friend of mine named Dawn. So Faye and I have known each other for a few years now. And she says that you speak just so properly.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a lot of I could get really, really Trini, but then y'all wouldn't understand one thing I'm saying.
Stay with this.
If I drop into a true Trini accent, everybody would, okay, she's obviously talking a foreign language. No, I'm talking Trini English is different.
Is it? Like slang wise, I guess you guys have different
we use, for instance, I know time is almost up, but I'll just say this one. For instance, in the US and other countries, they say hanging out. So like, you know, you hang out or, you know, with friends.
Yeah,
we say we liming. Like lime, like the fruit, like lime. So like we liming. So we're going on lime. You know, so that's how we say it. But if I just say it, everybody would be like, what does she mean? Yeah, so that's how we would say. We would never say, I'm going to hang out with friends. We say, I'm going to take a lime day.
That's awesome.
Do you see how different it is?
Yeah, well, that's quite different. Now, I'm thinking, when you guys say that, like, we're thinking like a lime that you put on a drink. Maybe we're going to go have some drinks.
Right. It literally means just hanging out. It could be for drinks. It could be just stand up talking outside with some friends. It could be going to a party. It could mean it's anything social. It's a
cool.
Trendy way of saying we're gonna have something social going on. Yeah. So
also pronounced patois. I don't know what that means.
Patois. It's a
patois.
Yeah, patois. It's a kind of French Creole kind of slang.
Oh, sure. Now I understand. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, was that Faye again or someone else?
That was Lee Collins.
Oh, Lee. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Theo likes it. Theo likes the Lyman thing. That's all.
Lyman. Again, when I was in the US and I said we're going to lime, everybody was like, what does that mean? They did not get it. And then I had to explain what it means, and then it was a hit. You're like, yeah, we lime in. It's a real Trini word. That's a real Trini word.
And suddenly I have the urge to listen to some Bob Marley.
My husband said when Neil comes to Trinidad, we're going online.
Well, yeah. You damn right we are.
Yes, you'll have a blast. Trust me. Whenever Corona gives us a break.
Yeah, well, it's going to be with us for good now. We'll just have to come up with vaccines and stuff like that to defeat it, right?
Yes,
all there is to it.
Yeah.
We've done it to other big diseases. We can do it to this one.
Just give it some time. Which reminds me, Neil, let's remind everyone to wear their mask. Let's wear a mask when we're out in public and social distance as much as we can.
Cool ass one right here that's got like a skull on it and stuff.
That's so cool.
I got like 5 or 6 of them. I'm collecting them now. I've got one coming. It's got the Batman logo on it. So
yeah,
because I love Batman.
Oh yeah.
No woman, no cry. Yeah, Lise, you got it. I love Marley.
Bob Marley. Iconic Bob Marley. Yeah. But Bob Marley's Jamaican, of course.
Yeah, of course, yes.
But of course, Caribbean, we are one people, different countries, of course, but we have so much in common, Caribbean wise. You know what I mean? It's amazing.
It's an amazing place, that's for sure.
Yeah, it really is.
I've never been there, but I've got friends that have been there, and all they ever do is brag about how freaking awesome it is down there. So that's why I got to get down there.
So unique. If you go to Antigua, going to Antigua, as you would call it, and come into Trinidad, totally, even Trinidad and Tobago, it's a twin island state, right? Trinidad and Tobago, but although it's one country, it's 2 totally different experiences. Trinidad is way more fast-paced and industrial, and Tobago is a lot more laid-back and touristic. So even within the twin island state of Trinidad and Tobago, you get 2 totally different experiences. And that's how it is throughout the Caribbean. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with Duh Idiot here. Corona snuck up on us and punched us in the nuts, but we'll show it.
Yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself, the idiot. That's such a cool handle.
That's a great, yeah. One of my favorites, he pops into my chats once in a while, is named Titan Uranus. But it's like Titan and Uranus, like the planet.
People get so clever with names.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Well, we've done the hour. Are you ready for an after party, Fiona?
I am. Let's do it. I feel even more psyched now than I was when I started the show. So let's do it, Neil. How do you do the after party?
We shall. We shall in a moment. I've got a couple of things I want to say before we do that. Yes. First of all, and most importantly, I've loved our conversation, Fiona. It's been absolutely fantastic having you on.
Thank you. Me too.
I've been looking forward to this for a while. So
yeah. Well,
I'm glad you said yes, and I'm glad you kind of came to me, and I was like, yeah, hell yeah, I'll get John here.
And I was like, oh my God, next thing he says no, or as we would say in Trinidad, next thing he blank me. That's what we say it. No.
Never. No. I want any and all stories that I can get on the show for sure. So we're gonna lemon in the after party. Is that Lyman in the after party?
Yes.
Yeah,
everyone should come to the after party.
For sure. All right. So, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the show as much as you can obviously see we did, because we had a great time chatting.
We did. We really did.
Next time you should have your husband pop in and go, hey. maybe
Oh, trust me, he'll come into the after party and say, hey, he will.
Perfect. Excellent. I fully encourage that for sure, because I'd like to see him and say hello face to face as well. Well, I do take a bit of a break, so maybe you guys can get that laptop up and working, and then it'll be a little bit better for both of you.
Yeah. So will you send me the link?
I just like I did earlier. It'll be the same thing. Okay. I'm gonna go out and run outside and bug some people out there for a few minutes. So, wait, hang on. Before we go, Wonder Lady has a quick question.
Sure.
Well, actually, there's 2 quick questions that we'll tackle before we leave. Lee Collins wants to know what you're currently studying or thinking about. Like studying wise?
Are we talking fitness wise, or are we talking religion wise?
Just, I guess, anything. What is Fiona currently studying / thinking about next is the actual question.
Well, I started a new book called The Fallacy of Free Will. I recently started that book this week because I just finished reading Biblical Nonsense. So I really would like to be able to speak well about why free will is nonsense. So I'm currently thinking and studying that, and I'm really working on building my online business right now. So I'm also currently studying making myself the greatest fitness trainer online from within the Caribbean right now. Yeah. So that's what those are the two things I'm studying right now.
Excellent. There you go. And you should send me a link to your online store, and I will pop that in the description box below as well if people are interested. Okay.
Yeah.
And Wonder Lady wanted to know, you mentioned the USA, and have you visited, and did she like it, or do you travel a lot?
I love to travel, full stop. I really do. It is my greatest desire to travel the entire world, right? Or at least as much of it as I can. Because I think it's important to see how other people live, and people that live better, and just appreciate cultures and that kind of thing. I have been to the US. My brother, my mom, and my sister actually live in the US. So I've been to different parts of the US as well as different parts of the Caribbean, and through competition, of course, because I do compete as a bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. And I've been to a few Latin American countries as well.
How about Canada? You ever been up here?
Canada is my dream to visit. Can I tell you? I have always wanted to come to Canada. Despite the fact that I hate cold, I have always wanted to come to Canada. It's like my dream. My dream place.
It's not cold here.
Is that okay? So this year, before Corona hit, in August, actually, I was supposed to do a competition in Canada, but then everything got canceled. So as soon as that's back up and running, I will be in Canada.
Excellent. Well, if you do, and you end up coming up to Vancouver, let me know ahead of time. I'll give you my cell number, and we'll hook up, and I'll show you guys around.
That would be amazing. Yes.
It's a plan for sure when it happens.
That's the plan. So you see,
all right,
that works out well.
Yeah, for sure. So I can host you guys here, and when I come down there,
it will be just one big happy Canadian Trinidadian family.
Exactly.
I love it.
Exactly. All right. Well, Fiona, once again, thank you very much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you.
And guys, if you're interested in joining the after party, you can send me a message either through Twitter or Facebook, and I will give you a link. So until next time, guys, with the whole COVID thing going on right now, remember to be well and be safe, and above all, be kind. A huge thank you to all my wonderful patrons. And also, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.